$14 billion. That's the conservative estimate of Joaquin El Chapo Guzman's net worth at the height of his power. To put it in perspective, that's more than the GDP of many small countries. It's enough to buy a small fleet of aircraft carriers or fund a space program, all from selling illegal drugs. But even that astronomical figure might be an underestimate. Some experts believe El Chapo's true wealth could have been 2 or 3 times that amount. The drug trade is a cash business, after all. Much of the money is never accounted for. It disappears into a shadowy world of offshore accounts, front companies, and briefcases full of cash. The true extent of El Chapo's fortune may never be known. These are the questions we'll explore as we delve into the shocking truth about El Chapo's millions. Joaquin Archibaldo Guzman Loera, better known as El Chapo, Shorty, wasn't born into wealth. He grew up in abject poverty in the rugged Sierra Madre mountains of Sinaloa, Mexico. His childhood was marked by hardship. He sold oranges to help support his family. He had little formal education. By all accounts, he was destined for a life of struggle like so many others in rural Mexico.
But I had ambition and a willingness to do whatever it took to escape poverty.
He entered the drug trade as a teenager, working for local kingpins. He quickly showed a talent for the business. He was smart, ruthless, and had a knack for logistics. These skills would serve him well as he climbed the ranks of the Sinaloa cartel. By the 1980s, El Chapo was running his own operation. He pioneered new smuggling routes into the United States. He built elaborate tunnels under the border. He used planes, boats, and submarines to move drugs. His innovation and daring made him a legend in the underworld, and incredibly wealthy. His rags to riches story became the stuff of narco legend. El Chapo's billions came at a terrible cost, not just to him personally, though he would eventually pay with his freedom. The real cost was borne by countless others. The violence that accompanied his rise to power left thousands dead. Rival gangsters, police officers, politicians, journalists, anyone who stood in his way was at risk. The streets of Mexico ran red with blood as cartels fought for control of lucrative smuggling routes. Then there were the addicts. El Chapo's empire was built on human misery. His products destroyed lives and tore families apart. Communities across North America were ravaged by the flood of cheap cocaine and other drugs. The social cost of the drug trade is incalculable.
Yet El Chapo seemed to feel no remorse. In interviews, he claimed he was simply meeting market demand, as if selling poison was just another business.
The corruption fueled by drug money was equally destructive. El Chapo bribed officials at every level of government. This undermined the very foundations of Mexican society. Moving and hiding billions of dollars in illicit cash is no easy feat. El Chapo employed an army of financial experts to help him launder his fortune. They created a Byzantine network of shell companies, front businesses, and offshore accounts. This web of deception was designed to make his drug profits appear legitimate. It was a constant game of cat and mouse with authorities.
One favorite tactic was to funnel money through seemingly legitimate businesses. Construction companies, real estate firms, even a juice factory, all were used to wash dirty money clean. Cash would be mixed with legitimate revenue, then reported as profit. From there, it could enter the banking system and be moved around the world. El Chapo's financial wizards were masters at exploiting loopholes in international banking laws.
But not all the money could be laundered. Much of it remained in cash form. This presented its own challenges. Where do you hide tons of physical currency? Tracing El Chapo's fortune has been a monumental task for law enforcement.
The money was scattered across the globe, hidden behind layers of proxies and front companies. Investigators have spent years trying to unravel the financial web. They've made some progress, but much of the money remains elusive.
Some of the cash ended up in surprising places: investments in European soccer teams, luxury real estate in Dubai, art collections in New York. El Chapo's money touched every corner of the global economy.
It mixed with legitimate funds, making it hard to separate the clean from the dirty. This is a common problem in fighting financial crimes. The global financial system is so interconnected that illicit money can easily hide in plain sight.
A significant portion of El Chapo's wealth is believed to still be in Mexico. Despite his arrest and extradition, the Sinaloa cartel continues to operate. Many suspect that El Chapo's sons and other family members are safeguarding his fortune. The best authorities can hope for is to disrupt the flow of money and make it harder for cartels to operate. The impact of El Chapo's wealth extends far beyond his immediate circle.
Drug money has a way of seeping into every corner of society. It creates a shadow economy that distorts markets and undermines legitimate businesses. In some parts of Mexico, the cartels have become de facto governments. They provide jobs, build infrastructure, and even deliver social services, all funded by drug profits.
This narco economy has created a dangerous dependence in some communities. When the government fails to provide basic necessities, the cartels step in. They build schools and hospitals, they offer loans to small businesses, they sponsor local festivals and sports teams. It's a form of soft power that buys loyalty and silence.
People are less likely to cooperate with authorities when the cartels are their benefactors. The flood of drug money also fuels corruption at every level. From local cops to high-ranking politicians, the temptation of easy money is hard to resist.
El Chapo was known for his plata o plomo, silver or lead approach. Take a bribe or take a bullet.
El Chapo's billions didn't just buy mansions and yachts. They bought influence. At the height of his power, he had politicians, judges, and law enforcement officials on his payroll. This web of corruption reached the highest levels of government. There are credible allegations that even presidents were compromised. The extent of this infiltration may never be fully known.
The corrosive effect of this corruption cannot be overstated. It undermines the very foundations of democracy and the rule of law. Citizens lose faith in their institutions. They become cynical and disengaged. This creates a vicious cycle where corruption becomes normalized. People start to see it as the only way to get things done. Breaking this cycle is one of Mexico's greatest challenges.
But it's not just institutions that are corrupted. Individuals are too. The allure of easy money draws people into the drug trade. Young men with few prospects see it as a path to wealth and status. They idolize narco culture, with its flashy lifestyle and macho bravado.
El Chapo's arrest and extradition to the United States marked the beginning of the end for his financial empire. US prosecutors were determined to not just imprison him, but to dismantle his entire operation. This meant going after his money. They deployed a team of forensic accountants and financial crime specialists to trace every dollar.
The investigation revealed the staggering complexity of El Chapo's money laundering operation. It spanned continents and involved hundreds of shell companies. There were front businesses in nearly every sector of the economy. Real estate, agriculture, manufacturing, all were used to wash dirty money clean. The ingenuity of the scheme was almost admirable, if only it had been used for legitimate purposes.
One of the key breakthroughs came from El Chapo's IT specialist, who turned informant. He provided access to encrypted communications and financial records. This allowed investigators to map out the flow of money in unprecedented detail. They discovered accounts in banks from Switzerland to the Cayman Islands. As El Chapo sits in a maximum security prison in Colorado, the search for his hidden wealth continues. It's a global effort involving multiple law enforcement agencies. They're combing through financial records, following leads, and pressuring banks for information. Every now and then they score a win. A hidden account is discovered, a property is seized, but these are small victories in a much larger war.
One of the biggest challenges is the use of cryptocurrency. El Chapo's organization was an early adopter of Bitcoin and other digital currencies. These provide a level of anonymity that makes tracing funds extremely difficult. Investigators are playing catch-up, trying to develop new tools to track crypto transactions. It's a constant arms race between law enforcement and criminals.
Another obstacle is the use of testaferros or frontmen. These are individuals who hold assets on behalf of the cartel. They might be family members, trusted associates, or even unwitting dupes. Proving that these assets actually belong to El Chapo is often impossible.
The US government's efforts to seize El Chapo's assets have had mixed results. They've managed to confiscate some properties and bank accounts, but it's a fraction of his estimated wealth. In 2019, a federal judge ordered El Chapo to forfeit $12.6 billion. It was a symbolic victory, but collecting that money is another matter entirely.
Mexico has had even less success in recovering El Chapo's fortune. Corruption and intimidation continue to hamper efforts. Many suspect that high-level officials are protecting cartel assets. There's also a lack of resources and expertise in financial crime investigations. Mexico's president has vowed to use any recovered funds for social programs. But so far, there's been little to distribute.
The challenges of asset recovery highlight the need for better international cooperation. Drug trafficking is a global business. Fighting it requires coordinated action across borders. There have been some improvements in recent years. Information sharing between agencies has increased.